Okay, hi, I'm here in Pidgley Hand's little study. This is where she'd done all her copybooks and everything. And anybody who's my age now, about 70 or 75 or whatever, their grandfathers, if they're here from Rylane, their their fathers would have went to school with Pidgley Hand. Now this house has stood here since 1798. The year of the Revolution, and Rylane is noted for road bowling, and where road bowling came from was the old yeomanry, they were called, it's yeomanry, the yeomans of the guard. They were the redcoats, and the ones that were here were called the North Corks, and they were mostly made up of Royal Lancers, Royal Engineers, and the infantry at that time were always called something like a foot. So some kind of name, but they had a small cannon, and it was from that the bowl was. So there are a lot of people, they play it here, like Mick Barry, the main man that he lofted a viaduct inside next to the city, and he became famous for that. And Bishop Buckley was another man. I've seen him here several times in Rylane throwing a bowl with Mick Barry. And Bishop Buckley, myself, and Mick Barry were the people that unveiled a statue down in Ballydehob. So I had a good reason to know the man, and he was an impressive, very, very strong arms on him. You could see Mick Barry that he could throw a bowl, and the bishop could throw a bowl as well. But when I came here 35 years ago, so now I'm well and truly settled here, and in that time I spoke to Mossy Murphy. He was called Mossy Ned for some reason I don't really know, but he was a great storyteller, and between him and Willie Lucy, who was Jane Lucy's husband, he was a great man for information too. But the man that gave me the information about something I'm going to tell you about now is the postman, Paddy Long, the postman. He lived just up the road from here, just up at the top, and he showed me at one stage, he said Rylane, the small stream that went straight through the village, that was an open drain. If you went right back to around the time that this house was first built in the 1700s. So it has stood in 4 different centuries. This is the 5th century now that this house. So it's the oldest house lived in Rylane without any fear of contradiction. I'm speaking to you now from the wall that's behind my back here. This was Pidgley Hand's fireplace here, just as where I'm sitting. So she had a little fire. There's a chimney, and it's still there. And the jackdaws, I'm afraid, are still in it. But it was Mossy and Paddy Long, the postman, that put me out. There's a little house up here, and I just took a picture of it, where there used to be an old thatched house. And that was belonged to a stonemason. He was the stonemason. He was O'Connor, and he was also a poet. And he's the man that He's the man that built, the Colville. He was the first person to cover in the Colville here. Before that, there used to be wooden, like skins of tree to leave. Horse and carts were the only things that were here, and pony and traps and ass and traps. But at that stage, there was an open drain across, and the digging out of a place up near next to him, there was a lady, and I have pictures of her here. I have pictures. The gold was found just up the road from here, Mountrivers. This is called Mountrivers treasure, and it's listed up in the national, the National Museum, and it's called Mountriver, and it's called Arboro gold, but I'd say it's wrongly listed. They just put down the parish instead of the actual place. But the actual place is a short walk from here. I'd be down 5 minutes even. And that was that anyway. And the woman sold the gold for £30 inside Cork, inside in Patrick Street. Of course, the National Treasure found about it, and you don't own gold. But anyway, there was another a poet that lived in this house. They were Conies, and this is a picture of this man, Jim Coney. Now, his father and his grandfather lived here in this house, and he went to live in Clonmel, and he shortly after he got there, he met a woman from Thurles, and he married her, and they had 5 daughters and 1 son, and this man is the one son, and he wrote a poem which I'm going to read to you now. He wrote a poem about here and about the little stream. So I'll read it for you now. Now, great poets may sing and boast about the things that they adore, but I would sing about a spot that I love more and more. Where as a boy I roamed with joy and grew up to be a man by the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. In fancy dream to me it seems that I'm back there again, in that little spot I ne'er forgot when first I took my name. And in the vision that is clear to me, like the sunburst at the dawn, by the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. And with the children that I knew once more I'd run and play, or through the meadows and the fields we'd file the hours away. And on in the lanes we would play our games till the shade of night would drawn by the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. And as I stand and gaze across the dear old Sheshkinny, I still can see familiar sights that's so dear to me. And speaking with the old neighbours there, they'll long have gone away from the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. I think I see my father as standing by the door, and Alan's pub across the road they also kept the forge. And Lynch's shop, we bought our stock, and the workshop of Lyhane's, by that little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. And as I think of later years and how I can recall, each Sunday morning after Mass, we'd sit upon the wall, or in the lane we'd work. Or we work when our working day was over. We'd meet there and play by the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. I'd listen to the old men there, regarding their stories. They would relate to the Land League days in Ireland and the men of '98. I know how the boys went out at night and fought the black and tans from the little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. The savage loves his native shore, and the lark she seeks her nest. And if I long for my old home, it's because I love it best. Until the day I will return, and I'll do the best I can. God bless that little stream that flows between Mountrivers and Rylane. That's the best I can do, and I did have a couple of little stumbles, but that's the poet that penned this letter. He happened to be a tip man because he was born and reared there, and there's another tip man now who has recited his poetry. And something else now I'd like to talk to you about. It's my brother Paddy. My brother Paddy, who came to me in 1970 in London, and he had studied art in Christian Brothers in Thurles, and I'd like to show you some of his work now and keep it. Now this here, focus. This here is the slipway in Clongareth, and his name is P. Griffin. Now, Paddy, I was a plastering contractor that year. I was managing director of my own company, so I hired Paddy as an apprentice plasterer. I had already got my younger brother, who was Chris, and I had him plastering at that time. But that's Glengareth, that's one of his first paintings. It's on canvas, and I framed it myself some years later. But this is Glengareth, the slipway of Glengareth, and that's he captured that with. It's quite, I'm no artist. I know just about as much about art as I do about poetry, which is very little. But this is in Mayo. This is Cathy's house in Mayo. Cathy her name was Joyce, and if you would go over that hill there, you go into Cunnamoona, and there was Seamus O'Queef lived back there, and that was called the Joyce country. And this was myself and the rowing boat. That was James, my son, and that's Sharon, my daughter. And we used to go there every summer for holidays. Everybody speaks Irish there. There's no English. The only time they used to speak English is when I used to turn up. because they knew a tip man don't speak English. Now, this is one of the most common most painted that Paddy has ever done was the Rock of Cashel. And of course, seeing that we were in the parish of Cashel, and when I get on my bike, I would be in Cashel in no time. And that view wouldn't be the view I would see coming in the old Cork Road. That would be coming back if you're coming in from the horse and jockey side. And that's another one of my brother Paddy's painting. He's now out in California, and he's 64 years old, and he does very little in the line of art these days. Although he did bring his daughter there. I was at his daughter's wedding there 3 years ago. I spent a little bit of while in San Francisco, in a place called Concord. Where Paddy lives now. Now here we have another picture here, a portrait. I wanted to show, there's a portrait there of Sharon when she was 2.5, my daughter Sharon when she was 2.5. And he was getting a bit patriotic at that time. He gave her a green, even though she was a Londoner and we were all in London, he gave her the green dress and the yellow and green, white and gold, a bit about. Now, this is another one when Sharon was in the convent. She was in our secondary school, and he painted that, and I think that's a very, very nice portrait, even if I only say so myself. But that's my story. Today I have a different story. It's art today and poetry from Con Griffin, Crohoro Griffin.